Hello, welcome back to Psychotic PY Podcast. This is episode 5. It is past Mother's Day at this point, and even Cinco de Mayo. It is actually the 13th that we are recording. Sad news, Bridget leaves the 19th, so we were really close to her departure. Ted, please let her stay, please! Anyway, taking it away for this episode, she'll introduce the topic. Bridget.
Hi, everybody. Yes, my last week here. I hope everyone had an amazing Mother's Day, whether you have been a mother once, twice, previously, currently a mother, miscarrying, anything, honestly, looking for surrogacy, trying to become a mother. If you're a mother and you hate it, if you're a mother and you love it. Adoptive. If you're a mother of any kind, if you've ever, a stepmom, yes, if you've ever felt like a mother, you're a mother. Sorry, that's our vocal in the background. That's Theo.
Until she leaves, we have a guest star of Theo forever.
But we hope everyone had an amazing Mother's Day, even if you were celebrating other people, celebrating yourself, celebrating people you love, people you hate.
No.
Mothers can be grating.
Yes.
But hopefully everyone had an amazing weekend. The weather was definitely out. So
oh my God. We recently walked with my mom's friend, Vicky. Love you, Vicky. What was like for 5.1 miles? It was so beautiful. She lives in a beach town. Beautiful, place to live and be able to walk to the main street and the beach. We got very lucky. Good day. We got Theo a hat. Adorable.
Had to prevent the summer.
Yeah. He's Irish and English. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And American.
But we're also Irish. So, very pale skin, blue eyes,
so pale,
light kid.
So pale.
So we must have wore him out sitting in a carriage all day because he slept forever for Bridget.
He slept about 14 hours.
We were worried about being able to record today because he was just such a perfect.
He wouldn't
kid.
wake up. He would not wake up.
We were like, "Are you alive?"
Today's episode is sponsored by On the Rocks.
Real clink, as Bridget said. She is this time drinking the
jalapeno pineapple
margarita, and
with Tres Generaciones tequila.
And I'm actually drinking their limited edition for the summer Blue Hawaiian. Please get it. I've had many Blue Hawaiians. This is the most delicious.
She's had more than a few Blue Hawaiians in her life. Hey, bum.
The reason I started is actually from my college days when my best friend Nicole told me about how she was conceived. Her parents were away on vacation and had Blue Hawaiians.
Oh my God, stop it.
And that's where I started. By the way, you should try this, Nicole. Most delicious one I've ever had. Clink.
This is not sponsored. We are paying for On the Rocks.
Listen, On the Rocks. We will mention you every day for the rest of our lives till you sponsor us. Even Dexter wants us.
Please give us booze. Anyway, okay. So today's topic is Judy Bloom heavy. It's all about menstruation and puberty. We're really excited because both of us went through puberty.
Unfortunately.
Also, shout out Judy Bloom, New Jersey. What do you call the thing? Hall of Fame.
Yes.
New Jersey native. A lot of her books actually take place in New Jersey. She's great. She's an octogenarian now. I don't know exactly how old, but I know she's in her 80s. And so she's relevant because we're talking about puberty, and we are specifically mentioning, we're going to talk about this as well, is her new series on Netflix. It's based off her book, Forever. She is an executive producer on it. So she talks about how much it, changed things for her daughter. And we'll dive into it. So shout out Judy Bloom. Shout out New Jersey. Shout out puberty. Keep going. So the first thing we're talking about is a CNN article that was just posted. It was updated today, Tuesday, May 13th. That's today. So the headline in CNN Health is early periods are a problem, and what your kid eats may make an impact, study suggests. So dialing it way back to, let's say, late 90s, early 2000s, when we did notice that there was an earlier period progression for girls specifically. So average period for men, puberty.
Whoops.
There is a myriad, though. There's a male period. Anyway.
Blame it on the rocks.
It's on the rocks. The average age of puberty for boys was still 9 to 11 years old, and that's just the start of puberty. When doctors say average age of puberty, we don't mean like they're done. Like you're not 11, like ready to be like a freaking
We learned even from growing up. Our friends had it in different years, right? Like
very different. But when we say average age, that means the start.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for 9 to 11 for boys, 8 to 12 for girls. 8, now you're saying, holy shnikes, that's really young. It is. So back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was not that age. However, nowadays it's 8 to 12. So let's dive into that. So way back when, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, when we were learning, holy shnikes, it's getting really early, we were linking it to childhood obesity. Now, that is because obesity, fat and estrogen are besties. We've talked about this definitely on our podcast before. Yes. Estrogen loves fat, fat loves estrogen. So extra estrogen is stored in your fat as something called estrone. It's still an active hormone. So if you are a slightly pudgier little girl, let's say, festive, jolly, who knows, this larger body, which a lot of young girls are because, let me get back to this. Hold on. I have too many things I want to say.
There's a lot.
Puberty is an exciting topic. So if you have that extra fat stores in your thighs and belly, which is where it's expected to be, you have more estrogen stores. Now, if you have higher levels of estrogen at the age of 8 or 9, you will kickstart puberty. So they thought, okay, it's obviously because kids are heavier. Now, new research suggests that's not true, and that it actually is diet dependent, independent of your BMI. Now, what I was going to say, instead of get back to it, is girls, this is very typical, young girls specifically put on what you call like baby fat, puppy fat right before puberty because you need that to help launch your estrogen into puberty. So if you have a daughter right now and she's 8, 9, 10, 11, and all of a sudden you notice, oh, she's gaining a little bit of weight. That is normal. And the worst thing you can do biologically is put her on a diet at this age. You will set her up for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obviously low self-esteem, and yo-yo dieting. The best thing for you to do is completely ignore it and acknowledge that this is biology. She needs that fat to get her through puberty. And when she turns, 14, 15, 16, she's going to grow taller, thin out, and that's it.
I'm not even a doctor, and I have seen this in my own practice with, if I meet with young girls or their mothers, and that is their concern. But yet the key is, Virginia said it has only come on right before they're about to start puberty. They will thin out. They're going to shoot up. They will get rid of it. Please do not make them feel anything less than that they are. Don't bring attention to it. The best thing you can do is keep going on every day like nothing has ever changed.
Just like your boys get hungry before puberty, that's how you know your boys are growing. All of a sudden you're like, my fridge literally cannot be stocked. Girls need that too. Why are we saying it's okay for boys to eat you out of house and home and you go broke in a day? Girls need that same grace. Girls are also hungry because their bodies are changing. And just because they don't grow 3 inches overnight like your son maybe did, they're still growing massively.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't women, biologically from back in the caveman days, we have an extra layer of fat in our thighs.
30% more.
There's a reason for it because while they were the hunters, we were the gatherers, and we needed it. It's normal. Yes. We need it. Stop pushing away from it.
Women carry 30% more fat on average, especially in the thighs and midsection. A lot of that had to do with wading in water. So when you waded in cold water, you needed the fat to insulate you and keep you warm. Also, obviously, you need fat because, like I said, estrogen and fat are besties. If women are carrying babies, you need estrogen to have a normal period, to carry a pregnancy, etc. So you need to kind of free yourself. The most freeing thing is to say, I'm going to forever now intertwine estrogen, which is a good thing. You need that. When it drops, you're in menopause. I'm going to forever link fat and estrogen together and instead stop trying to be like, I want to drop all my fat. I need to lose all my fat. If you lose all your fat, you will lose your estrogen.
They don't call them birthing hips for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason why men may be like, wow, you've got good birthing hips. Woman, I like you. There's a reason. Might be inappropriate at times, but there's a reason they say that. It's true.
So we need to stop making young girls specifically. Listen, if you're an adult and you want to feel however you want about your body, you're an adult, you make your own decisions. It upsets me because I feel sad. But if you want to feel however type of way about your body, that's completely your choice. But do not, please, ever put that mindset on a young girl who's about to go through puberty, which, as young girls know, anyone who's ever been a girl before, is it's such a tumultuous time. And the worst thing is then to have your mom be like, oh, by the way, you're fat. And you're like, oh my God.
Yes.
Could this get worse?
I've learned, we're going to generalize it here because I don't want to, just single anybody out, because this is definitely a community experience, at least from our age and older. I know we're doing better now after, our kids are definitely going to grow up in a better, wholesome mental health environment. But before our kids, our generation and up, experienced those special K moms and
oh my God,
almond diet moms, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
I mean,
We know
Special
them.
K literally was like, here's a diet, just eat our cereal.
Yeah.
No
So-
nutrition, cereal
so
3 times a day.
Their whole premise was either you eat a cereal or a cereal bar, and I'm not saying it didn't work. It probably did because
Carbs only,
you were starving yourself. But was it healthy? And did you get the vitamins you needed every day?
There's no protein in cereal.
No. You would lose the weight. Were you healthy? No. And we now know, as we have become more educated through time, that just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. Does not mean you're healthy.
Mm-hmm. As we talked about in season 1 with our friend Annie, who's a dietitian, your body size and your health are not inextricably linked. You can be a larger body person and have numbers that are showing you're very healthy. You've got great protein intake. Your lipids are in check. Why do we all automatically assume, oh, she's bigger bodied, so she's unhealthy? It's not true.
It's the way society has made us feel. And again, thank you for mentioning Annie. We'd love to plug her. Annie Zapula, A to Z Wellness.
A to Z Wellness.
I just want you
registered
everybody
dietitian.
To know. Registered dietitian, but I want everybody to know because maybe they don't. She is covered by insurance. So she has got you covered. I don't want you to be like, well, I would love to meet with her, but I can't afford it. You can. If you can afford a low copay, you can afford Annie. And honestly, I think she's the best around, right? The best we know.
Oh, for sure.
Annie Zapula, A to Z Wellness.
Mm-hmm. Look her up, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, diving more into the CNN study. So, what we found was eating a more inflammatory diet is associated with a 15% greater chance of kids having their first period in the next month, whereas a healthier diet reduced this risk by 8%, according to the Journal of Human Reproduction. Now, you might be saying, what is a higher inflammatory diet? It's linked with ultra-processed foods. So processed foods, I get it. We live in a modern world. We're all on the go. It might be hard to avoid these. Ultra-processed foods refer to more fast foods, certain deli meats, stuff like that. Ultra-processed foods can also sometimes be called junk foods. So they're foods that your body wouldn't naturally use for energy and burn those calories nicely. They're still obviously a source of fuel for you. You're not going to starve by any means. Your body will use them, but they will not use them as efficiently and to the maximum capacity that your body would use whole foods. That's really the main difference. So an early start to menstruation, as CNN says, isn't just inconvenient. Okay, I mean, CNN, did a man write this article? Inconvenient. But it is a marker for chronic conditions. This is very true. So if you go into menstruation earlier, that means your estrogen is peaking earlier. Now you expose yourself to more cancers. This is really sad. So the higher levels of estrogen you have throughout your life, estrogen can become eventually a carcinogen. So you open yourself up to a higher risk of breast cancer lifetime, a higher risk of ovarian cancer because now you're ovulating more than you would be. And it can be very dangerous.
Absolutely.
Also, an early first period, which is impacted by genetics. Obviously, we always look to, your mother, however she went through puberty, and external factors, is associated with a higher risk of breast cancer, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. So it's really important to address these issues because we shouldn't have maybe 8-year-olds going through menstruation.
Correct. I will say as life moves on, we are plagued with this on-the-go lifestyle, right? Like everyone has to be in a million sports, so many parent-teacher conferences. Mothers are more likely to be not in the home but working, right? Because life is expensive. So that does force a big part of the population into what's quick, what's easy, what's fast, what's cheap, which tends to be fast food. Fast food, if eaten enough, if it's a regular part of your diet, will make you have, if you're a female, biologically, then you might have an 8-year-old period, unfortunately, because the hormones in the diet and food.
Yeah, so for a lot of ultra-processed food, let's just say like McDonald's. I don't know. I'm just taking it as an example.
Please don't sue us.
I know. Please, we can't afford it.
We'll call it McFonald's.
Also, we literally have no money, so can't get blood from a stone. Yeah, we're not monetized for this, so who cares? You probably buy a cheaper or lower quality chicken, beef, etc. It might be loaded with antibiotics and hormones. It is what it is. That's the world we live in.
Yes.
And now again, this was kind of the older way of thinking, though, is that this kind of food opened you up to having a period because you're getting the hormones from the chicken, the beef, etc., the antibiotics from the chicken, the beef, whatever.
Yes.
It's hard to say, chicken or the egg, pun intended, because we don't do studies on children, especially children who are going through puberty. And be unethical. So it's really, really hard to determine what exactly is making children go through puberty sooner. But we can just kind of assume that it is linked to our diet because that is the major cultural shift that has happened since we've recorded these earlier periods. Now, Marissa, can you comment on the psychological impact of younger kids going through puberty?
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, no matter what decade you were born in, middle school is a bitch. Can we all agree to that?
Yeah.
Right? Middle school is definitely worse than high school because at least in high school, people, as Bridget has described to me while discussing the podcast, they've leveled out of it. They're not so hard and they want you to see you die, right? We understand consequences a bit, not completely. But yeah, I will agree. My middle school experience was definitely worse than my high school experience. There's a lot going on during middle school, but
puberty.
Yes. But I will say with clients in the past that I have seen, middle school is hard. Psychologically, it's mentally, physically, just everything is overwhelming. Unfortunately, nowadays we are experiencing, as we've talked in other podcasts, social media. Never seen before have we been exposed to nonstop bullying.
Yeah.
You may have been bullied in school, but at least before in generations, you've been able to go home, unplug, get a separation. There's a reason why, unfortunately, suicide is on the rise.
And how about, this is, I think every woman can look back and reflect on this moment. So either you were the early bloomer in middle school, or you were the never bloomer in middle school. And both.
Actually, one of each in this family.
I know.
Early bloomer.
Never
late,
bloomer.
Late, not never. Late.
Not in
late.
middle school.
Late.
Yeah, very late. So you can completely see the opposite sides of the pendulum. Marissa, if you get boobs first or second or third in middle school, everyone's like, slut, yes. Let me see your tits. You can't escape it. Okay, now if you never get boobs in middle school, flat as a plank of wood, like we're just a man. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to be then? It's either one or the other.
You know what's funny is depending on who you interacted with for when I was hitting that stage, it was either like, yes, you got these boobs before everyone else, or I had a sect of men saying, you're just fat. That's gross. It was in between because as we know as women, when you first get your boobs, they are like a certain shape, right?
Mosquito bites.
Okay, I can't talk for everyone, but when mine came in, they were almost like triangular in a shape.
They are. They're called breast buds.
Yes, and maybe they didn't stand out as much.
No, they're called breast buds. They're just little fat pads.
I definitely had the fat pad that we were all talking about that comes on before puberty. I know I did. And unfortunately, because of that, and if you have mosquito bites, as they've called them, and my boobs don't stick out farther than my stomach, I was considered like a cow, right?
Yes.
So.
Also, how weird is it? So all these terms, like I dropped Tic Tacs down my shirt, I have mosquito bites, they all came from like our parents and our parents' friends, right? Have they not?
So I have learned that kids only learn things from what they hear or see, whether it's media or their parents, right? Like they're not bored and they're like, mosquito bite. They don't know that. So if any child repeated that to me, they had to have heard it somewhere.
And they did. Okay, so I always heard you dropped Tic Tacs down your shirt because I literally only had nipples until I was very old. So I'm just going to be candid with you guys. I didn't hit puberty until I was almost 15. So I was 6 months shy of my 15th birthday.
Podcast then, because you hit it at 15, I hit it at 11. Very different. Very different.
Yes. Now, so anyone who's like medically based, like you know that 15 is actually like kind of the cutoff. 15 if you have other symptoms. 15 if you have no other symptoms. Like I did have other things leading to puberty, so I was fine. 16 if you have other symptoms, so I was fine.
If you know Bridget in real life listening to us, you understand why she hit the end of the cusp. She was very thin.
I was rail thin. I had not enough fat.
People thought Jerry was not feeding her.
Yes.
Like, you could see her knee bone so bad that you were like, are you eating?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. Please donate $1 per month to a starving child. No, that's true.
And I had the extra store fats, so I hit the early range. I hit the early range. I think if she had another girl, it might have been in the middle because Michael seems like he was in the middle of us.
Jerry and I were very similar. Jerry was 14 when she went through puberty, and I was 14 and a half. So
I was 11.
Yeah.
So Jerry does very much resemble you the most.
Yeah.
The only time I would say I ever looked like her is I saw a photo of her at field hockey one time. And she showed me a picture and she had dark eyeliner on the bottoms. And I probably shouldn't be comparing this because this is like a makeup trick, but whatever. I also in high school wore dark eyeliner, Bridget can attest, and my friends. And I remember saying, field hockey, dark eyeliner, Marissa in cheerleading, dark eyeliner.
Oh my God,
we are twins.
Yeah. It's funny because you're taking the most vulnerable of a population. We're taking young girls who are maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, and we're putting on these labels like, oh, she's got mosquito bites or she's an early bloomer. We are sexualizing children. At the end of the day, do you think the girl who's 13 and woke up with C cups is like, yay? No, she's like, holy fucking shit, what happened to my shirt overnight? You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I actually remember, I mean, not to call people out, well, that's call people out. No,
I'm going to do it after you.
I have a very good friend. I'm not going to name any names. I have a very good friend who I've been friends basically my whole life since elementary school. And she did go through puberty. I wouldn't say early, average age, but she was like one of the first bloomers in our class. And our people around us, adults around us, did mention, oh, she carries herself a certain way, so she's always looking for male attention. And I remember saying, my God, what do you mean? Like, I love this girl. She's my best friend. We have sleepovers all the time. What are you talking about? And this adult who was in my life frequently said, oh, no, the way, she shakes her hips. Now that I'm an adult and I look back on that, the way, quote, she shakes her hips, it's because she went through puberty and that's just how she began to walk. When you grow up with, all of a sudden you literally, Marissa, right? You wake up and you go, holy shit, whose butt's in my pants? Whose ass is that?
Also, God forbid a girl has confidence. What the fuck?
She had confidence, true.
But like, why are we shaming her?
But also, it was literally the only way she could walk with her body shape.
Yes.
She was not going around like sachet. Sachet, oh, wait, okay.
What was it? Yeah, sachet? Okay.
Sachet, oh, wait, okay, queen. She was not doing that. She was just walking at, I want to say 12 or 13. She woke up with hips overnight, as puberty kind of happens. And this adult in my life was like, I don't think you should be friends with her. She carries herself a certain way. And I was like, and I was like, I was 12, and I was like, this is wrong. I'm sorry. Like, whatever you're saying is wrong. I know this girl. I've known this girl since we were like 9. You're wrong. This is wrong. She hit puberty, and you need to get the F over it. And I think about that all the time.
Meant to be a doctor, honestly, from the get-go.
Ah.
I hit puberty, actually, at an interesting time. I'll share a story with all of our viewers. Me and my sister went to Camp Lohican and for 2 weeks, which was a sleepaway camp. So my parents didn't see both of us for 2 weeks. During this 2 weeks, for me, not my sister, was the summer that I already had hit my puberty. So I obviously hit it at 11, and I hit it in like April or May, if I can remember correctly. So this was the summer of that. So I was still 11. Interesting enough, I loved all the girls I bunked with, but I will say, because we were all kind of in that same hitting the puberty or not, we all started judging each other because some girls came with a very big, like, full C cup, and I came with my mosquito bites, but already had my period. Some girls had not hit their period yet. Some girls just had like what they call like nipple and skin, which was like it was there but not.
Yep.
Right. Some girls had not hit their period. Now all of us were in this cabin, and we were all trying to be best friends. And I don't even mean to say that like we were forced to. Like we all actually got along very well.
Your cabin did get along well. I remember you guys were vibing much more than we were.
We actually really liked each other. Although I will say 5 girls out of the 10 in the cabin were from the same school and whatever. So half the cabin already knew each other, but we all got along really well. Yeah, we were all at different puberty ages of when we hit our period. Our boob sizes were all different. But what I do remember is that we were all taught incorrectly. So no matter what size we were, it was okay to praise the girls that were just woke up with these C or Ds. And if you had mosquito bites or less, or what we called back then as immature middle schoolers, like, oh, you had some skin, which means we hoped your boobs came in, but they were like weird looking. We're still growing, as we used to say. And we were all just like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with your boobs? When are they going to grow in? Like, oh my God.
When are they going to grow in?
Yeah, like, what's wrong with them? Oh my God, why aren't they C's or D's? And we were like, first of all, every woman genetically isn't meant to be a C or a D. Because when I did fully grow in, I was a B and a half.
I was fully pregnant, still not a C.
Yeah. Now, after having kids, I am much bigger. But before I had kids, I was a B and a half my whole life. Before Jack, my first son, a B and a half. Now, I am much bigger, obviously, but That was not the case before children.
I'm still an A and a half.
My sister has always been the more fit sister. I love her.
I have no boobies.
Also want to punch her in the face.
I have no boobies. It's fine. No boobies.
But like, it's just interesting that like you threw all these girls going through puberty in a cabin.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to them, our cabin leaders and people in charge were all looking at each other's bodies, judging each other, saying what's right, what's wrong. And none of us are medical doctors. None of us have even graduated 8th grade yet.
Yeah.
Here we are like
pros.
Wrong. Yeah, right, wrong, right. And like, all of us are wrong. All of us are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
doctor is eating her tagine, but she will.
I'm eating tagine. Sorry. I do love that about childhood is that for some reason you assume like you're gonna grow into I'm doing air quotes right now. You're gonna grow into this. You're gonna grow into your nose. You're gonna grow into your ears. You're growing into your boobs. You're growing to your hips.
Jerry did that. God love.
Why?
God love.
Why her nose? Are you talking about her nose?
It looks great on her.
Yeah. Okay.
In photographs, so photogenic.
Yeah.
Love it. Love
like,
you.
why is it always like you're gonna grow into this? You're gonna grow into that. I truly, again, because I went to a Catholic school, they don't really teach you much about
we both
menstruation.
Did. Yeah. Sound like I'm the stepchild.
Sorry, we went to a Catholic school. They don't teach you much about menstruation other than like you're gonna bleed, sinner.
First of all, I'm cracking up. But in order to not have sex, me and Bridget were actually talking about this recently. They thought show you a slideshow of STDs was good enough, but all you needed to do was put on a loop of a crying newborn 24/7. I promise you, I never would have had a kid till I'm 80.
Yeah, the same torture that they use in Gitmo, by the way. They did that in Guantanamo Bay. They played loops of babies crying. That would scare you off of.
Scary. You didn't need to show me an STD. You want to know why? Because their mistake was always showing me these penises.
True,
and
they
I'm
did.
Like, not my problem. I got a vagine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't care. Now, if you on a loop, you were like, listen, for a whole week, nonstop, we're sending you home. You must listen to this CD back then. CD on your CD.
Yeah.
Listen to nonstop babies crying. I would have fucking lost.
Now picture this: you're 19. You have no dad in the picture. It's just you and the crying baby.
I promise you, not only would I have dropped out of high school and joined a union, I would have been. I'm not even.
She's not qualified to join a union, but she'll join one.
I would have listened. I'm very attracted to men, but I would have been a lesbian. I would have been a
lesbian. She would have been a lesbian.
A millennial lesbian.
That's what you said.
Am I wrong? I'm a millennial lesbian. Listen, bitch, On the Rocks. Sponsored by On the Rocks. We're just going to fake it till you make it. On the Rocks. Sponsored by On the Rocks. Clank. Wait,
ready?
Anyway.
Versus
I absolutely would have been a lesbian, but not the lesbian that's like, let's have a family. No, let's have dogs. Let's have a farm with sheep, dogs, cats, parrots, parakeets. I don't give a shit. We would have taken in all the animals that were abused. We would have done it. You would never have had it. I love Jack and Evelyn. Thank God they're here and they never did this to us. But if you had done that to me on a loop for even 2 days, not even a week, 2 days, Jack and Evelyn would never have existed.
I know. It's
never.
It's so true. The crying baby is hilarious. And then I only watched a movie 2 weeks ago that said they actually did that. I'm not just saying this is a true thing. In Guantanamo Bay, they would play a crying newborn over and over. And I'm like, that totally tracks. Like, that would make you go crazy.
Any mother with their hormones and trying to heal would go literally insane.
It's a horrible noise. But what I was saying is the whole you're going to grow into this mentality. I am 30 and I still have A cups. There is no like you're going to grow into it. And it's actually really, I would say, damaging because I think I was like 18. No. I was maybe a little dum-dum. I was about 18 when I was like, so mom, like, when am I going to...
I know we're laughing, but like on the rocks.
But when are my boobs coming in? And my mom was like, girl, you're 18. To give up the dream. Like, this is it. So I think it's just like a very damaging mentality to be like, oh, you're going to grow into it. You're going to grow into this. You're going to grow into that. When sometimes it's like, that is your body.
It is.
You are an A-cup accepted queen.
Well, okay. So genetically, if we're going into genetics and history, we are both half Italian, half Irish. Correct, Bridget?
Full American. But yes.
Oh, God, you sound like my husband. I don't care what you are. We're full American. I keep telling my kids what we are because we're like a mix at this point. But John's like, tell them we're American.
I mean, we are.
Typical Marine. So the Marine, I mean, not to knock them. I appreciate all they've done for my husband and all the benefits. But every time I do tell him, like, what are you? I have only found out from his family because when I ask him, he goes, American. I'm like, that's not real. Because your family has said Irish, German, and Polish, but okay, American. He doesn't say American. He goes, America.
Fair enough.
I'm like, okay, you're clearly indoctrinated. Again, love you guys. Have given us the greatest benefits. Although, okay, if we're talking about this, which is another segment, can we do better on homeless veterans, at least in New Jersey alone, and New York and Philadelphia? Ridiculous, right?
We can dive in next episode.
But is that not ridiculous? You can agree to that now. Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. They've given their life for this country for a minimum of 4 years. Definitely more, some of them. But a minimum of 4. And you're saying like, oh, well, after you get out, be homeless? Okay, I could go on for like 8 hours.
We're just 3 drinks in.
No, I am passionate no matter what, because the man I love has been a Marine. And we'll go on. I won't even say the bad word. Curse you. Next episode. Anyway, so anyway, what were you talking about before I got so heated?
About being Irish, Polish, German.
But why
Genetic.
Oh
Thank you. God.
Sorry, on the rocks, blue Hawaiian this time. Luau. Anyway, the point is that because of that, and because of the definitely dietary needs of Bridget and I growing up, we craved different things. We did grow up more Bridget, I would say more Irish and fit, and I was Italian and curvy.
Curvy. She's a Sophia Loren.
Curvy. Love my cheese and carbs and pasta and all that.
It is a lot of genetics. It's a lot of genetics.
It is.
Yeah.
But because of that, I know now that we grew up to be therapists and doctors that what we were doing in middle school was so toxic and negative. There was no ill intent, ill will, whatever it's called. We were going off of our peers and how they made us feel. And the worst is like, back then social media wasn't a big thing, but I remember magazines were.
Yeah.
And there was like Teen Vogue, Teen
Cosmo Girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you were in like a stick, you were a failure.
Yeah, but heroin chic was very in when we were coming of age. So early 2000s, it was heroin chic, which everyone our age knows that term. If you're a little bit older, you probably never heard heroin chic. It basically refers to the term in the early 2000s when if you were underweight to the point where you looked emaciated, that was the goal. So you wanted your hip bones to pop, you wanted your collarbones to pop, your shoulders, everything. You wanted the bonier the better. Yes. And it's almost to the point where it actually looked like you were underfed because that's what you wanted. You wanted to reach the point of beauty and wealth where you were so wealthy that you could purposefully not eat, that you looked like unfortunately, a drug addict. So heroin chic is, which I've heard, bad news is coming back. But
I heard that too. Okay, so here's the thing. Even if that was in style and every single woman on this planet subscribed to that, it's impossible for every single woman because some women have more hips than others.
Yes. No, you can never achieve the same goals.
Listen, even at my thinnest and Bridget's thinnest, Bridget looked like she belonged in Africa and you were donating to her.
I did.
And I still looked what you would call normal skinny. Even at my skinniest, never achieved model skinny because my hips never allowed it.
That's true.
Never,
hips don't
right?
lie.
Even when I was super skinny, I was still, they call me normal.
We have a different body shape.
Normal. And you know what? Let's pretend that we're, even though we are, but people like to be stupid because of trends. Let's pretend that we're educated, right? It doesn't work for everybody. Even if I get the skinniest I can get, and so does Bridget, she will always be skinnier than me because she's always taller than me and doesn't have the hip size.
The physical,
it doesn't work.
The illusion is that I'm thinner because I have a taller body.
I'm 5'3.5" and you're
5'7".
5'7". So the height is very different. And I have Italian hips and you have Irish hips. I love them. Now, I don't mean this in a negative way, but they're not existent. You have model legs. That should be a compliment. I don't have model legs.
Different pelvis shape. For anyone medical listening, it's a different pelvis shape. The android pelvis, the anthropod pelvis, they're different pelvis shapes. They usually, for women, they come in 3 different shapes. For men, they come in 1. But sometimes women can have the male shape as well. And when you see a skeleton, like a bear skeleton, it's super obvious. When you see a human with fat and muscle, it's more difficult to tell. I only really have to know this because childbirth. The study had used data from more than 7,500 children aged 9 to 14 enrolled in the Growing Up Today study, GUTS. So researchers surveyed the kids in 1996 and 2004, and then followed up with them in 2001 and 2008, respectively. So they measured diet in 2 ways. the Alternative Healthy Eating Index, which rates foods and nutrients that predict chronic disease, and the Empirical Dietary Inflammatory Pattern, which is a dietary index that can assess a diet's ability to affect chronic inflammation. And they use these statistical models to evaluate the connection between the quality of diet and the age at which menstruation started. Eating a healthy diet in late childhood and early adolescence is associated with girls having a later first period compared with those consuming a less healthy diet. Importantly, this association was not explained by the impact of diet on body size. So the previous understanding was that overeating high-calorie foods may impact early menstruation because the accumulation of body fat signals hormones to initiate puberty. But the connection is there even if you account for body mass index or BMI. So childhood obesity was likely not the only factor influencing connection between early menstruation and diet. Another factor related to unhealthy or inflammatory eating must be contributing. So, environmental factors influence the age at which menstruation starts, including being exposed to high levels of air pollution, which in the Northeast we have, we're chock full of, and personal care products like hormone disruptors, lotions, soaps, etc. It's difficult to eliminate your own or your child's exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals, and there isn't clear labeling requirements, especially by the FDA, which we know. But you can use like skinsafeproducts.com or Skin Deep. They will tell you basically they give you a green, yellow, or red ranking on your soaps, your deodorants, your shampoos, your lotions, etc. Where your product ranks with hormone disrupting abilities, which is important to know.
Absolutely.
In this study, researchers assessed healthy diets, people who had fruits, veg, healthy fats, whole grains, nuts, and legumes, and then people who had what you would say inflammatory diet, which is red and processed meats, refined grains, sugar sweetened beverages, which is soda, fruit juice, and diet soft drinks. And that is what they use. Our findings highlight the need for all children and adolescents to have access to healthy meal options and the importance of school-based breakfasts and lunches, including based on evidence-based guidelines, which is really important. Ultra-processed foods are 70% of a typical teenager's intake. 70%. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Very crazy.
So the average American teenager is consuming 70% of their diet ultra-processed.
Now we wonder why 7 and 8-year-olds are having periods. It's incredible.
It's very important, which segues into, so we're getting into Judy Blume, which I promised you in the beginning. The Judy Blume carrot dangling. So New Jersey native, a lot of her books are actually based in New Jersey. We all know Judy Blume. We all love Judy Blume, especially if you're a girl who came of age anytime.
You definitely had to read this growing up.
Yeah. It's, what is it? It's me, God. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret, Jeannie, Blubber. What is it called? Blubber? Yeah.
I should have brought in Erin here. She would label all of these.
I know. She's a great author. Like I said, she's an octogenarian now, and she's in the New Jersey Hall of Fame. She actually has, on the Interstate 95, she has a rest stop named after her. So she currently on Netflix is called Forever. It is I think it's a limited series. It's based on Judy Blume's revolutionary book at the time, and I think it was 1975, or it's set in 1975 New Jersey. So let's talk about banned books. So Forever, and many of her books, Judy Blume said she actually wrote for her own daughter, who is a preteen at the time, who said, I want to read books about me that make me feel good and nobody dies, which is funny. So basically she wanted a book about teenagers who would maybe fall in love, enjoy themselves, God forbid, and not die. No consequences for just falling in love, which is what we should have. So Judy Blume started writing. And Forever is a story about this. This is her story, her novel, not the Netflix series. I'll tell you about the Netflix series in a second. So the novel, which is based in mid to late 70s New Jersey, is about high school seniors. Now we're talking about 17 to 18-year-olds who meet at a New Year's Eve party and end up dating. And when they're dating, they're happy, they're in love. It's a very consensual relationship. They have fun. They fool around. They explore their own sexuality, completely consensual, as I mentioned. towards the end of their senior year. So now we're assuming they're 18 years old. They are adults who love each other and choose to be together. They also are safe and they have sex. So that's how the book ends. So in the 70s, mothers and states went wild, especially Pennsylvania and Ohio. They banned this book. They banned it. They banned it left, right, center. It was banned everywhere. And someone actually said, a congressman, of course it was a man, actually said, quote, girls should not read about menstruation in relation to other books that Judy Blume wrote. I think that was about It's Me, God, Are You There? It's Me, Margaret, Are You There, God? I think that was what he was talking about. So, quote, girls should not read about menstruation. So, how are we supposed to learn about it? If you can't read about it, what do you hear about it through your grandma and your mother? Great. So, they have information that was passed down from their grandmother and their mothers, which they weren't allowed to read about. So, you're getting false information, hearsay, as a lawyer would describe it, because you shouldn't be reading about it. Something that is going through you at the time, it's happening to you. It's, a natural process. But, quote, girls should not be reading about it.
This is upsetting.
I know. So Judy Blume's book, one of many, as I said, It's Me, Margaret, Are You There, God, Deanie, and Forever, were all completely banned, but were available through like the American Library, whatever, So Forever, the Netflix series, is modern, so it's modernized. It's a couple from LA instead of New Jersey. And I think the premise still remains where they are in love and they are young. It's a young couple and they decide to be intimate with each other. Another quote, I read this morning, so it's fresh in my head. A mother, I think in Ohio, about Forever in the 70s said, I would rather my child read pornography because then at least she learns the consequences, where in the book Forever, they have sex and they're happy and the book ends. Yeah. And she doesn't want the daughter to be happy and know that there's a happy ending. 18-year-olds, by the way, 18-year-olds having a consensual, loving relationship, choosing each other to engage in sexual activity, lose their virginities, and parents were so unhappy.
Well, I mean, as someone who's loved history but also became a therapist, I can attest why. I mean, a woman should be happy in the home, happy serving, happy as a mother, happy as a wife. You have freedom to choose, maybe as they call the lonely boy global problem that it is on TikTok. The lonely boy. So right now, what's going on is the lonely boy global issue or lonely boy something.
Incels? Are we using another term for incels?
They are incels, but that's not what they're using. Again, I'm a little too old to keep up with the complete term, but I know that the beginning of the term is lonely boy. What is it called? Pandemic, epidemic, whatever.
Okay.
Honestly, don't fucking know because I'm married and happy and don't keep up with this. But I will say that this could end, this pandemic, epidemic, whatever you want to call it, this lonely boy issue, if you just became like a real good person. Like, if you're looking for a slave, just say that. But if you want a partner in life, then this lonely boy thing won't be a problem.
What came to mind with reading real people quote saying, like, I'd rather my child read pornography than fucking Forever in 1975 is how, no one says this anymore, it's just ironically, but can't turn a housewife into a hoe. Yes. A hoe into a housewife. I said backwards. I said drunk.
That's right.
Marissa's living proof that you can, in fact, take a hoe and turn her into a housewife.
I'm going to take one for the team right now, guys. Okay. All my friends can attest right now. Sorry, Mom, you're about to hear right now all the times that I've lied to you, but I was in fact a hoe.
And now she's a housewife. No, she works, but she has kids.
I could have been. If my husband had told me I could be, we'd live a mediocre life.
She has kids. She's happy.
Listen, guys, so every friend group has the promiscuous friend. I was the promiscuous friend.
Promiscuous girl.
Okay, listen, girl, boy, we don't need a lawsuit, Bridget.
I know.
Anyway, so basically, I was that friend. I was always the promiscuous girl. I always did the crazy bullshit shit, like cliff jumping for some people, right? Shit. I'm not saying that a cliff jump, but like if you can think about like, okay, we have a friend group, and then like the person who was ready to cliff jump, that was me, right? Like I just did crazy shit. I did whatever the fuck I wanted. You want to know why I did whatever the fuck I wanted? This is so bad. Our Jerry's gonna kill us. It's because she was smart enough to put us on birth control early, but that just was like a pass. Anyway, so that's what I did. Oh my god, our relatives are listening to this. They're gonna die. We're gonna have to go to so many funerals because of this.
Marissa!
I mean, they're gonna croak. They don't see me like this. I was the shy older kid. Promiscuous, but shy older kid. Anyway, so, basically, where did we go on this topic?
Honestly, I don't know where you're going.
Why did I expose myself like this? Why are we talking about this? I am on the rocks fucking drunk. Why are we talking about this? Should I cut this out? Why did I just expose myself? Tell me, Bridget, why? Is this your plan? You want to fuck me over? Tell me, Bridget.
You're gonna fuck on me?
Yeah.
Wait, what were we? I literally am shocked by
question.
it.
You're not even the drunk one. Why are we talking about this? Fuck.
Oh, actually, this can't turn out.
We can't turn a hoe to housewife. Okay, I'm here to tell you right now. You absolutely can.
The point is, shout out to all the hoes who became housewives this Mother's Day.
Fuck you, Bridget. I love you, but right now, fuck you. I wish you nothing but the best in life. Anyway, Theo's amazing. I love Theo. He can come anytime. Bridget cannot visit. All right. Well, listen, we've had quite a long podcast. Actually, today it's like...
I know, let's wrap it up.
We're going to wrap it up. Anyway, as always, Bridget's amazing. She's done all the research, and I've just collaborated. Shout out to Bridget Melton. Woo-hoo, Dr. Bridget Melton.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Even if you're not listening and I'm speaking into an echo chamber, into the void, it's fine.
Our favorite listener, Tracy Rankle. Woo-woo!
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Psychotic Pussy
Psychotic
Podcast.
Pussy!
Please follow us. We really need money.
We're poor. Thank you. Love you. Bye.